You know that feeling of being perfectly happy alone, but still missing affection, a connection, someone to share the late afternoon, Sunday, or just a glance with? Well, many people over 60 begin to feel this more clearly. And look, there's nothing wrong with admitting that we miss affection, love, companionship. No matter your age, your heart continues to beat and yearns to be seen, cared for, embraced. Maybe you've had a great love, maybe more than one. Maybe you're still with someone, or maybe you lost that person. Maybe you separated after many years, or maybe you never married. Every story is unique, but one thing is common. There comes a time when we start to think differently about love, about what's worthwhile, what weighs, and what fulfills. Today, I wanted to talk to you, in a relaxed way, about an idea that's gaining more and more traction among people over 60. Dating without marriage. Yes, that's right. Being together, but without having to share a roof. Loving, but each person in their own space. Building a good relationship with affection and respect, but without necessarily signing papers, splitting the electricity bill, or making dinner every day. And this isn't a lack of commitment. On the contrary, it's often a mature and light-hearted way to relate. I know, some people still find this idea strange. After all, for a long time it was believed that the only right way to love was to get married, live together, and start a family. But things change. And the truth is, after a certain age, we already know what we like, what we don't like, what we can tolerate, and what we'd rather let go. We start to value peace more than obligations, partnership more than contract. And remember, this doesn't mean that those who choose not to marry don't truly love. Quite the opposite. Love after 60 can even be truer, more mature, more sincere, because there's no longer that rush of youth, that desire to prove something to society. Now what matters is feeling meaningful, that it adds up, that it embraces, that it respects the other person's time. I've seen many beautiful stories out there. A woman who reconnected with a friend of her youth, and the two started seeing each other on weekends, having coffee together, going for walks, each in their own home, with their own routine, but with a special space reserved for the other. Or that man who lost his wife a few years ago and is now discovering a new friendship that has blossomed into affection. They travel together, talk every day, but didn't want to mix their finances or change addresses. And they're happy that way. There's a saying that a good relationship is one that makes you feel free even when you're with someone. And that makes so much sense at this stage of life, because after 60, many people rediscover the pleasure of being alone. And when someone comes along, that presence needs to be an added bonus, not an all-encompassing presence. Sometimes the fear of getting married again is accompanied by memories of a difficult relationship full of demands, arguments, and tiring obligations. Or perhaps the fear of losing autonomy, of having to change everything again, of giving up the comfort that a well-lived solitude also brings. And it's okay to feel that way. We have the right to choose more calmly, to prioritize what makes us feel good. Dating without marriage can indeed be the ideal choice for those who have lived a long life, faced losses, cared for many people, and shouldered many responsibilities. Now is the time to experience a lighter love, without so many demands, without the need for constant presence, a love that respects silences, quirks, schedules, and desires. A love that doesn't need formal paperwork or a wedding ring to be true. And what's more, this type of relationship can help maintain what we call self-space.
This means you can continue to cultivate your tastes, your hobbies, your routine, but now with someone to share your joys with, talk to before bed, laugh about the day's silly moments. No pressure, no burden that sometimes comes with life as a couple when it becomes an obligation. Of course, not everyone feels this way. Some still dream of marriage, of living together, of building everything anew. And that's beautiful too. The most important thing is that the choice is yours. May it not be due to pressure from children, fear of loneliness, or old habits. May it be because you truly believe this is the path that makes you happy. But if, deep down, you feel that you would like to be in a relationship, yes, but without repeating the old formula of till death do us part, all together, mixed up and living in the same house, then that's okay. This is as dignified and loving a way as any other, and it deserves to be lived without guilt, without justification. Did you know this already has a name? Some people call it a LAT relationship, which comes from the English living apart together, meaning living apart but together in love. It may seem new, but in practice, many mature couples have been doing this for a long time. They just haven't put a label on it. And that's precisely the point. It doesn't need a label. What it requires is respect, affection, listening, and partnership. In fact, this freedom to choose the type of relationship that makes sense is one of the greatest achievements of maturity. We come to understand that happiness doesn't depend on form, but on essence, and that love can be deep even without daily contact. It can be lasting even without living under the same roof. It can be faithful even without the promise of a wedding. And that's so beautiful, because it gives us the chance to start over in a new way, to experience a love that adapts to the life we have today and not the other way around, that respects our pain, our joys, our limits, a love that cares without suffocating, that stays together without holding us back. But look, all of this is only possible when there's dialogue, when there's maturity on both sides, when both parties know what they want, what they don't want, and are willing to experience love more lightly, without demands, without games. You know that coffee together on Sunday? The phone call before bed? The walk at the market? The exchange of glances on the park bench? That's love too. And it can be enough, or even more than enough, to make your heart beat happier. You know, I keep thinking about how we often spend our lives trying to please everyone, trying to be what they expected of us, getting married at the right age, taking care of the house, the children, the grandchildren, the parents. And we even forget to ask ourselves, what about me? What do I want? After 60, it's the perfect time to ask yourself this question, because now we have a clearer understanding of what's good for us and what isn't. We've learned that no one comes from outside to save us, and that loneliness only hurts when we can't fill it from within. And this doesn't mean you have to get used to being alone forever. It just means you have the right to choose someone who makes you feel good without having to give up what you've built for yourself. I remember a friend of mine, Donna Marker. She was widowed quite young, at 58. She spent a good few years alone, raising her grandson, helping her daughter graduate, tending her garden, until one day she met Mr. Nivaldo at the Senior Citizens Club. They danced a waltz on a Sunday afternoon and never left each other's side. But she didn't want to get married again. She was afraid of losing her space, the peace of her home, that routine of watering the plants in the morning without anyone complaining about the noise of the hose. And he didn't want to change anything either. So they stayed like that, each in their own home, but together every day.
They spent afternoons in the square, had lunch on Saturdays, called each other before bed to say goodnight. And look, they've been living this light and affectionate relationship for over 15 years. And their story teaches me a lot about how we can love without imprisoning ourselves. Because love isn't a cell, it's a shelter. True love doesn't suffocate, it gives space. It's like two trees growing side by side, each with its roots in the ground, but with branches intertwined above. I know it's scary sometimes, afraid of what the kids will say, afraid of what the neighbors will say, afraid of doing something wrong. But who's to say what's right or wrong when it comes to the heart? If you're with someone who treats you well, respects you, makes you smile, isn't that a gift in itself? Do you really need a contract, a change of address, new house keys? Maybe not. Maybe it's already good enough. There are also those people who say to me, "Oh, but I'm embarrassed. I'm too old for that. And I always reply, old for what? To feel affection? To feel loved? To have someone to hug at the end of the day? Love has no age. The heart doesn't have birthdays. It beats the same, whether you're 30 or 70. The other day I was talking to a man who said that for him, dating without getting married was like traveling light. No big suitcase, no excess baggage, just taking what's necessary to enjoy the scenery. And I found this comparison so beautiful because that's exactly it. You learn to value only what truly matters. A caring gesture, a loving look, a kind word. The rest is noise. And dating without marriage also has its practical advantages. You still have the freedom to organize your day as you like, take care of your own space, and entertain friends without having to ask anyone's permission. You can sleep in if you want, watch that silly show that only you like without anyone turning up their nose, and at the same time, you have company when you want it, when you need it. Someone to walk alongside you, listen to your stories, remind you that there's still so much love inside you. Of course, as in any relationship, you have to talk. You have to be clear from the beginning about what you expect and what you don't want. There's no point in dating without getting married just to pretend you're not committed, you know? Lightness doesn't mean carelessness. Loving someone, even without living together, requires respect, presence, and truth. And look, don't fall for the idea that no one will love you just because you have wrinkles, gray hair, or a knee replacement. That doesn't define you. What makes someone fall in love is your joy for life, your tenderness, the sparkle in your eyes when you talk about something you love. And that doesn't fade with age. Sometimes it just stays a little hidden, but all it takes is a gesture of affection for it to reappear. I also hear a lot of people say, "Oh, but my kids don't like it. They think I don't need it anymore." And I understand. Family doesn't always accept it right away. Sometimes they're afraid of seeing you suffer again, or of someone taking advantage of you. But little by little, they understand. When they see you're happier, more energetic, lighter, they end up accepting it. And if they don't, well, it's your heart. It's your life. You're the one who'll sleep with yourself at the end of the day. It's important to remember that no one has the right to tell you that you no longer can love, that you no longer deserve to be loved. All of us, at any stage of life, have this right. It's a right that doesn't expire, that doesn't age, that doesn't mature. So, if you've already found someone or are afraid to take the first step because you think they don't fit into your life anymore, I tell you, they do. There's always room for a little more love. There's always room for one more laugh, one more hug, one more cuddle. And if you're still single, that's okay too. Don't rush.
Love doesn't come on the clock. It comes on the heart's time. And while it doesn't arrive, take care of yourself. Prepare to be the good companion you'll offer someone when they come along. Because no one likes to carry someone who doesn't take care of themselves, who doesn't value themselves. So value yourself. Wear clothes that make you feel beautiful. Go for a walk, to the club, to the market, to the park. Say good morning to people. Look them in the eye. Love may be behind a smile you haven't noticed yet. And when it arrives, don't be afraid to choose how you want to experience it. It doesn't have to be the same as before. You don't have to follow what others think is right. It has to be good for you. It has to make sense for both of you. Have you ever noticed how we spend our entire lives planning for the future? When we're young, we plan college, then marriage, then the house, then children. And when all this arrives, we ask ourselves, what now? What do I do with the rest of my time? For I tell you, you do what you want, because now this time is yours alone. This is not the time to live for others, to
to sacrifice yourself to please others. It's time to choose for yourself. And if in your heart there's the desire to love again, to have someone by your side, even if it's just for a Sunday in the park or a coffee at the bakery, that's enough to be a good reason. I've seen many people regret not giving themselves a chance. People who stayed home, afraid of what others would say, who closed themselves off out of shame about the marks on their bodies, their gray hair, the limitations of age. But I've also seen people who, despite all this, chose to open the door to their hearts. And how that courage made a difference. They started smiling again. They started fixing their hair, putting on perfume, walking with a lightness. Because love does that to us. It restores color. It restores shine. And when you choose a casual relationship without marriage or living together, it's not a sign of weakness or insecurity. It's a sign of maturity, of knowing what you want and don't want, of not being afraid to set limits to preserve your peace. You're no longer old enough to put up with what suffocates you. There's no reason to settle for less than you deserve. You've already paid too much. You've already given up too much. Now the odds are different. Only those who add up stay. And you can be sure, when you tell someone, "I like you, but I need my space," they understand. And if they don't, they're not the right person to walk with you. Because the love that's worth it isn't the one that holds you back, but the one that drives you. It's the one that makes you want to be an even better version of yourself, but without ceasing to be you. I know it's not always easy to face loneliness at first. There's days when the house seems too big. The silence hurts a little more. But that doesn't mean you have to accept any company just to avoid being alone. It also doesn't mean you have to give up everything you've built to fit someone into your life. You can have both. You can have love and freedom, affection and autonomy, company and silence, whenever you want. Just think. You can continue sleeping in your bed, drinking coffee in your backyard, minding your own business, without having to explain every step you take, but still have someone who calls you at the end of the day just to check in, who waits for you on the sidewalk to walk with you, who sends you a silly message just to make you smile. That's priceless, and it doesn't need paperwork or ceremony to exist. All it takes is two hearts willing to find each other. And if anyone tries to convince you otherwise, take a deep breath, because only you know what you've experienced so far. Only you know the pains and joys of your story. Only you know how much you miss a hug at the end of the day, but you also know the peace of being at peace. So choose carefully.
Don't pressure yourself by following what others want. Do what your heart tells you. If you already have someone, great. If you don't, that's fine too. Take your time. Don't just throw yourself into any old hug just to fill a void. The right love comes at the right time, and when it arrives, it's light. It doesn't weigh you down. It doesn't hurt. It arrives and you even wonder, is that all? No drama? Yes, that's it. And all of this at the same time. And please, never forget, you're never too old for anything. Not to dance, not to laugh, not to love. Life has no age limit to stop dreaming. As long as you breathe, there's hope. As long as you feel, there's a path. As long as you love, you live. I'm so happy to be able to say this to you, because I know there are so many people out there who needed to hear this today, who needed that little push to believe in their own worth again. You deserve it. You deserve to be loved, respected, cared for. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80, or older. Love doesn't see the calendar. It only sees the heart. So, if this conversation resonated with you, I want to ask you one thing. Tell me what you think in the comments. Have you ever experienced or are you experiencing a relationship like this, a light one without marriage? Or are you still afraid to take that step? I really want to hear your story, because each story is unique and can inspire others too. And if you know someone who's afraid to love again, someone who's suffered too much and now thinks it's too late to start over, share this video with them. Show them there's still time, that it's still possible to be happy, that it's still worth opening your heart. And for you, I leave this final message. From the bottom of my heart,
Life after 60 can still be full of energy, choices, and joy. You just have to believe you deserve it all, and you do. So go ahead, take care of yourself. Fix your hair, put on that perfume you love, put on a smile, and let life surprise you. Because sometimes the love of your life is yet to come. And when it does, may it be light, beautiful, and just the way you dream.